Each year, thousands of divers from across the country and around the world come to Williston, Florida, to learn, explore, and dive at Blue Grotto. They come to enjoy the large cavern, take advantage of the many training platforms, and play with Virgil the Turtle. What most of these visitors don't know, however, is that there is another side to Blue Grotto that may lie immediately below their feet. You see, the upstream side of Blue Grotto tells only half the story of this amazing geological phenomenon. Hidden below the far end of the parking area is a football field-sized cave, completely hidden from view. The Blue Grotto that everyone knows forms one half of a normal sinkhole. It's what we would normally deem the spring side. What's curiously missing is the siphon side. Water flows into the grotto from deep underground. Although this flow is mild, you can sometimes detect it at the very back of the cavern. The question is, where does this water go? If you stand on the dock and look over your left shoulder, you can usually make out the opening to a passage leading under the large deck. Walk to the back of the deck, look over the side, and you will see the natural entrance to the cave. This opening is a siphon, and its flow is augmented by an impeller that helps draw water from one side of the grotto to the other. This is one of the factors that helps keep the grotto clear. For many years, the natural entrance to the cave was blocked by a buildup of mud and debris, making it difficult to enter here. To get around this, the original owner of Blue Grotto built a set of stairs that led to a hole carved in the ceiling of the cave. These stairs remain today and are locked inside a concrete structure that now houses the intake for the hydroponics field. Entry into the cave itself was by means of an aluminum extension ladder, suspended from the ceiling of the concrete blockhouse by a length of chain. This made getting in with back-mounted doubles challenging, and doing so with side-mounted rebreathers nearly impossible. Eventually, the ladder corroded through, and its lower half dropped into the cave and became buried beneath rubble. In 2013, the current owner of Blue Grotto excavated the natural entrance and installed stairs and an underwater platform. Doing so has made getting into and out of the cave substantially easier. The cave itself is roughly the size of a soccer or football field. The most prominent feature is the debris pile in the center, which is over 30 feet in height. The debris pile extends nearly to the side walls. As you swim around its perimeter, it gives the impression you are swimming through a circular tunnel. You can download this map from the Blue Grotto Cave website. It's a work in progress, but will still give you a pretty good idea of the layout of the cave. As you can see, the gold line runs around the outside of the debris pile. It's bisected by a white line running across the top of the debris pile. All guidelines are continuous and marked with line arrows that lead back to the entrance. Average depths along the gold line are around 10 meters or 30 feet, depending on water levels. Depths along the top of the debris pile average 5 meters or 15 feet. The maximum point of penetration along any guideline is less than 100 meters or 300 feet from the entrance. Despite its compact size, if you take your time and swim each guideline in both directions, you can easily make a 35 to 40-minute dive. If the cave at Blue Grotto looked much the same as any other cave in North Florida, there might not be any point in diving it. Fortunately, this is not the case. The cave at Blue Grotto is as close to utterly pristine as one can imagine, and we are working hard to keep it this way. Think of high-flow caves like Devil's Eye or Little River. There is hardly a square inch of wall that does not bear the scars of human contact. Even in low-flow caves such as Peacock, in which divers are not supposed to be pulling and gliding, the floors bear the marks of fins, knees, and scooter shrouds. In contrast, With the exception of a few areas near the old entrance, the cave at Blue Grotto is virtually untouched. It provides an opportunity to see what most of our caves looked like before divers arrived. Here is something else that makes the cave unique: percolation. If you stay in one spot for more than a few seconds, it will begin to snow. Well, not actual snow, but loose particles from the ceiling that have been dislodged by your bubbles. This is something you rarely see in more popular caves. The good news here is that while the cave at Blue Grotto does present largely the same risks and hazards that are inherent in all caves, there are two specific risks that are less of a concern. Because of the shallow depths, the risk of decompression sickness is virtually non-existent. Also, with a maximum penetration distance of less than 100 meters or 300 feet, the risks associated with any gas management emergency are substantially less. That having been said, there are two areas in which the cave at Blue Grotto may present greater risks than we normally encounter in other caves. The first of these is silt. It's present everywhere inside the cave and covers everything. It's also deep and easily disturbed. Although this abundance of silt should not be a problem for divers with good buoyancy control, trim, and kick, it could present a substantial hazard to any diver lacking these skills. At best, a diver who silts could easily ruin all of his teammates' enjoyment. Another thing to bear in mind is that the guideline placement in the cave is based on what would cause the least damage to the cave itself, rather than what would make the guideline easy to see and follow. There are two areas in the cave toward the front, along the left and right walls, where the guideline is as likely to be above you as it is next to or below you. If you succumb to the temptation to take a closer look at what may lie near the base of the debris pile, you may look up to discover that the guideline is nowhere in sight. This makes it vitally important to visually reference the guideline frequently. That having been said, should you find yourself in a situation where you cannot see the guideline, remember that heading in an uphill direction will generally take you up the side of the debris pile. Do this, and you are likely to run into one of the guidelines in short order. As you most likely know, the only way anyone can dive the cave at Blue Grotto is when accompanied and led by a qualified Blue Grotto cave guide. Bear in mind, the guide's first responsibility isn't to protect you, it's to protect the cave. Guides are responsible for making sure everyone who enters the cave has the prerequisite buoyancy control and propulsion skills and is fully aware of the rules that apply to diving here. And what is rule number 1? That's easy. Don't touch anything. Seriously, there is no reason for anyone to pull and glide, set down on the bottom, or grab a hold of any rocks or formations. To do so will cause permanent and lasting damage that would ruin the cave for everybody. It would also cause one very silty mess. You can dive the cave using virtually any common cave diving configuration: back mount, side mount, or CCR. Speaking of entering the water, bear in mind the steps may be slippery. Hold on to the handrail. Depending on water levels, you may or may not be able to stand on the underwater platform at the bottom of the stairs. If you cannot, you will need to either don side mount or OC bailout bottles topside, put them on at the stairs, or don them while floating on the surface. Also, if diving a rebreather, remember that you will be alternating between 10 meters or 30 feet and 5 meters or 15 feet. This may affect your choice of PO2 set point. The guideline starts right at the cave entrance. There is no need to run reels here or anywhere else in the cave. Shortly after entering, you'll come across the cave's greatest mystery. It's this upside-down wash tub or basin. Made from cast iron, it weighs several hundred pounds, making it a near certainty that it was not put here by divers. Our best guess is that it was discarded in the grotto years ago, when it was common to use sinkholes as refuse pits. Later, some hydrogeological event of incredible magnitude managed to suck it into the cave. The good news is that the tub not only provides a good reference point, it also provides a convenient point at which to anchor several guidelines, eliminating the need to tie them to any natural formations. Passing over a small ridge to the right of the tub, you come to the old man-made entrance to the cave. This is marked by the water intake for the hydroponics field, and a collection of rubble beneath it. This is among the few areas in the cave in which you will find anything that is not natural, such as the remains of the old extension ladder. We're slowly removing anything like this that does not belong here. Doing so, however, takes time, as trying to dislodge anything from the rubble causes a total and immediate silt-out. Continuing on from here, you begin to traverse the right side of the debris pile. Below and to your right, you will see where the bottom and walls recede into darkness. Avoid the temptation to see whether there is anything down there. There isn't, and, in so doing, you will likely cause damage to the cave itself, and lose sight of the guideline, which, at this point, is going to be above you. As you approach the back of the cave, you will cross a wide, flat plain of deep, thick mud, and swim past the last of the debris pile. At the very back of the cave, you will find this intersection, where all three guidelines join. Note the line arrows. Any of these three lines will take you to safety. If you take the center line, you will almost immediately find yourself ascending this steep slope at the far end of the debris pile. What you will discover, however, is that the top of the debris pile is surprisingly flat and shallow. Nevertheless, there are frequent reminders that this remains an active and developing sinkhole. Halfway down the top of the debris pile, you will come across this cookie. If you look up, you will see a distinct fracture bisecting the top of the cave. If you look closer, and especially above this growing pile of debris, you can often see daylight. What you are looking at is the bottom of one of two solution pipes that lead directly to the surface. You can identify them from above by looking for the two wishing well structures at the far end of the parking area. If you look down, you will see that both are entirely natural. The left side of the cave mirrors the right in most respects, except that it is notably tighter. Divers can still pass through with back mount, side mount, or CCR. You just need to be very careful not to rub against the wall. Given the shallow depths of the cave, there is no need for any sort of stops on the way out. Among the last things you will notice as you return to the entrance is the impeller bringing water over from the main side of the grotto. It's always an impressive sight. You can learn more about the cave at Blue Grotto by visiting our website at www.bluegrottocave.com. If you are a fully certified cave diver with leadership-level certifications such as Dive Master or Instructor, and you have professional liability insurance, you may also want to check out becoming a qualified Blue Grotto cave guide yourself.